Currently trending on all social media platforms is the confirmed report of how widows are crying out for justice after being rendered homeless by Nwoko. Some women in Delta State have reportedly taken to the street to protest against Regina Daniels' husband, Nwoko. The women of Idumuju community under Aniocha North local government area of Delta State accused the Nigerian billionaire, businessman and politician Nwoko of tormenting the men in the state and taking over their land. Nwoko is accused of taking over several acres of land belonging to members of the community. The protesting women of various ages under the umbrella of Concerned Women of Idumuju were armed with placards bearing different inscriptions while storming the Delta State Government House, Asaba, the capital, to register their grievances. According to them, these women also accused Nwoko of promoting the insecurity in the town, disclosed that their husbands, son and relatives were being incarcerated in Abuja on the orders of this Nigerian billionaire Nwoko. His huge net worth has got many wondering how exactly he is making his money. Well, Nwoko, who is the popular Nigerian billionaire, businessman, politician, lawyer and a philanthropist, is stated to have an estimated net worth of $1.2 billion. Nwoko is extremely silent on his business and he has huge investments in oil and tourism and art industry. More reports has revealed how Mr. Nwoko grabbed massive piece of land in Idumuju, his hometown, to build a private university, destroying the sources of income and livelihood of many poor farmers in the process. The ex-lawmaker Nwoko, who the community had given 33 acres of land to build a dairy farm, failed to do that, and he then used it to set up his land for a tourist resort that houses his personal lodge, a commercial poultry and a fish farm. He then applied for another 90 acres of land to build an international standard golf course and a 2-mile by 2-mile land for building a university. Some members of the community, led by his kin from the royal home, kicked against these fresh demands. Meanwhile, there are pending lawsuits surrounding the approval of the 90 acres of land. 90-year-old poor widow Ogede Osodi inherited 4 acres of land from her husband, but that land, which was her only means of subsistence, was grabbed by Nwoko. Mrs. Osodi's 4 acres of land was part of the piece of land, including those collectively owned by indigenes of Idumuju community, that Nwoko used to build his proposed sports technology and arts university. Mr. Nwoko, who is member of the royal family of the community, represented the Aniocha North South and Ochumili North South federal constituency in the House of Representatives between 1999 and 2003. Mrs. Osodi said she watched with terror as a bulldozer, guarded by heavily armed policemen, uprooted and cleared palm trees, rubber trees and other cash and food crops on her land, leaving her empty-handed. She said she fled for her life after Nwoko ordered the policemen to start shooting. Meanwhile, same thing happened to this 67-year-old Sunday Kainebi, who suffered a similar fate. According to Mr. Kainebi, I was at home that afternoon and I was informed that a bulldozer was on my farmland. I met them. They were more than 50, including policemen. When I asked one of them, he said it was their oga that sent them. He said it was Nwoko that sent them. According to him, he confronted Nwoko and Nwoko gave no response. While he was watching them, as they started creating a narrow way, they destroyed part of my farm. It was the boundary between Uboko and Onitsha Ugbo. I met Nwoko himself. He said I should leave and that I should never return. I told him this is the only land I have, and he never responded again. Well, this is becoming more serious, and small reports from so many of these poor widows and poor widowers keep coming. Nwoko keep doing the same thing to so many of them. These are just few. Most of them are still out there lamenting bitterly, just like Benedict Dungu, who also said that Nwoko destroyed all his proceeds and also chased him out of his farm. Well, this is becoming very, very serious and it's trending on social media. More investigation also confirmed that this popular billionaire Nwoko, he did not only bully individual landowners in order to take over their property, he also hoodwinked the community before acquiring the land for his Star University, which is his own personal property. According to the guideline of the National University Commission, promoters of university must first show that they have acquired enough land before they are granted the statutory approval to setting up the university. Meanwhile, Nwoko started acquiring all this community land in 2000. While he was serving in the House of Representatives, Mr. Nwoko requested 33 acres of the community land for a dairy farm and factory which he failed to construct. He rather used it for his own purpose. He convinced the community that the dairy farm would provide jobs for the youth and ultimately improve the economy of the youth. Meanwhile, he didn't fulfill any of them. According to most of them, they are still weeping as he's a non-politician, but they also claim that he's so wicked and heartless to them, his own people. Meanwhile, most of them are currently on the street protesting against Ned Nwoko.
About 8 years ago, the community generously gave out 33 acres of land. Free. 33 acres of land is 33 football fields. An acre of land is a football field.
So we are related. So he went to London and came back and became a billionaire and asked for land. They gave him land, 33 hectares of land. Acres. And the premise was that he was going to build a dairy farm. He was going to do a fishing farm, chicken, piggery, and all this.
For the benefit of the community.
For the benefit, so they gave him massive I mean, he's a builder, so he described what they gave to him. 5 years ago, he has not been able to use up that 33 hectares. He didn't build the dairy farm. He didn't build the fish farm. Nothing. He just erected this massive, house there where people come to visit him. 5 years ago, he turned around to come and ask for another 90-something, 92 hectares or 95 hectares from an agricultural, we are farmers. And we said, look, our population is increasing. The land mass is not increasing. Only you, we gave you 33 hectares. You have not given an account of what you've been given. You turn around to come and ask for another 35. Anyway, we have a land sharing committee. You go and meet them, submit your proposal. He submitted, and the committee said no. So they presented it to the Crown Prince, and the man said, look, the committee says no, and we don't have this land to give to you. And that's the cross of the matter. So it's been, the major word is the intimidation and the bullying that is bullying us, using the police to raid the town, arrest people, charge them on trouble charges, and without investigation.
Regina, our marriage is solid. Our marriage is based on understanding and respect over time. I met her and I liked her. We married within 3 weeks. Yes, within 3 weeks. I married all my wives within some period. I don't believe in dating anybody to marry them. Don't date anybody you want to marry. Marry them. When you marry them, you begin to fall in love from within the marriage. Even in my own culture, as it were, as a kid in the 60s, people, they were not dating. They would marry. In arranged marriages, family to family, they choose a wife. And then most girls were expected to be virgins when they get married. And they build a family from there. And because they didn't know each other before they got married, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of learning to do. And but Regina and I is a story that is interesting because before I met her, I didn't know about her. I don't watch movies, never watch movies. I met her the first time when she came to my house with her mother and her siblings because my place in Delta is a tourist place. They came to look around, and I liked her, and that was it, So whether I marry another wife or not, she knows it can happen. I come from a very polygamous environment myself. I love children, so I want more children. And she knows this, and my other wives, they also know it. So we'll see what happens in the future. Umwani do everywhere. Umwani do everywhere. That's why at night, you have a lot of them know zone 4, zone 5, zone 6. As na fabo ashawo. Obrako fa na facho ima ashawo. Obna economy, they are doing good for them. These are the ills of the society now that but as one man, one woman. Before the advent of Christianity, our tradition Igbo tradition allow for many wives and children. Of course, that determines the size of the wealth you have, isn't it, in those days? So you see an average Northerner marrying 2, 3, 4. They're helping the women. They're helping the society. But the fallacy of it all is that, yes, religion, Christianity doesn't allow that in the South. And yet, the average Southern man with 10 girlfriends, you know, so you don't, the irony is so stark. I love my culture, my culture as I know it, not as they're trying to dilute it now. You know, I love culture. Igbo culture is wonderful, and should be promoted the way it has always been. But even looking at that, look at even your population in Nigeria. Just look at the economy of marriages, what I call economy of marriages. You, as an Igbo man, in one wife, and maybe you have 4 children. Onye Ugu, when 4 wives, each wife with 5 children. That's how many? 25 children. In the next 10 years, 20 years, you can look at the population. Just imagine the population of Onyugu, Ndiogu, and Ndibo, what it will be in the next 20 years. The population will be like 1 to 5, isn't it? Because of the disparity. Assuming that we are the same now. I'm just saying, but we are not. The gap is getting bigger and bigger.
Thank you so much for watching this video. For daily entertainment, news, and celebrity good and bad updates, and all you need to know that's happening in the country, don't forget to hit this red subscribe button, turn on the notification bell to always stay connected to us. One love and God bless you all. Don't forget to thumbs up to this video and comment down below what you think about this.